So, Chapter 6, the final chapter of Doctor Who Flux, The Vanquishers. Now, over the years, we've had some good finales, such as Army of Ghosts and Doomsday and the Stolen Earth two-parter. We've had some somewhat lackluster ones, like the Wedding of River Song, and a lot of people will say Hell-Bent. Where does The Vanquishers fit in, and how does it wrap up Doctor Who Flux? Personally, after having had a night to think on it, I think it's in the minutes somewhere in between. It's got some stuff I really like, and also a lot of stuff that I feel people are going to have some problems with. But anyway, on to what goes on. So, the 13th Doctor, played once again by Jodie Whittaker, has just been cornered by Swarm and Azure, played once again by Sam Sproul and Rochenda Sandel. However, just as she again makes a decision to try and survive, she rips off her division plate just as Azure is about to kill her. And in doing so, she somehow manages to split herself into 3 different versions of the Doctor, all played here by Jodie Whittaker. Did leave me slightly wondering, is this a multi-Doctor episode? Do we technically count this as a multi-Doctor episode? But, I guess you count it the same way you did Journey's End with 2 Doctors. But anyway, one version of her is stuck with Swarm and Azure, as they're using the Division's technology to alter the Flux because they want to destroy. While the original Flux was just supposed to destroy certain things, the Flux this time they wanted to destroy everything and then can loop back and destroy everything again. Like, they want continuous destruction, and they delight in torturing the Doctor more by using the fob watch that was revealed to reveal her previous memories to her, destroy them, then rebuild them and destroy them again. So the Doctor asks if the Ood can do anything to help, and eventually does. Anyway, the second version of the Doctor who is created, it arrives in the Williamson tunnels along with Yaz, played by Mandip Gill, and Dan Lewis, played by John Bishop, as well as a number of other characters, including Joseph Williamson himself, played by Steve Oram, Eustachius Jericho, played once again by Kevin McNally. They reunite with Claire Brown, played by Annabelle Scully, and also Kate Stewart, played once again by the wonderful Gemma Redgrave. She reveals that with the last bits of the Flux taking over, the Sontarans have once again invaded and are doing problems with Earth. They've been let into Earth along with their, shall we say, confidant Prentice, or the Grand Serpent, played by Craig Parkinson, who was really trying just to gain power and has let them in. Meanwhile, the third version of the Doctor created is dumped on Carvanista's ship, along with Carvanista, played once again by Craig Ells, and Bell, played by Thadia Graham. And so it's a race to get everything back together, stop the Flux, and get everything back to normal again. Now, I will say, I'll start off with the stuff that I actually really like in this particular story. Vinder, played by Jacob Anderson, and Bell, played by Thadia Graham, they've spent so much of this particular series apart. We've seen them constantly try to find each other and not been able to. But when they get together, they're absolutely adorable. I mean, I absolutely love these pair together. Like, when they finally get on the TARDIS together and they see each other, it's just, the chemistry between them is undeniable. As they run forward, they hug, they kiss. They're generally lovely together, and then, of course, she says to him, "Oh, by the way, we're going to have a baby. You know, if we survive all of this," to which his response is, "Well, better survive it then." Just, I love that. I mean, just, we spent so much of this series watching these two try to get together and not be able to, that when they finally do, they're just a joy. And you know what? It was worth it for these two. Also, I did like Gemma Redgrave back as Kate Stewart. Once again, it's been over 5 years since we've seen her. We haven't seen her since 2015's Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion, to which, of course, we heard that unit operations had been suspended in 2019. To once again see Gemma Redgrave back playing Kate Stewart the exact same way she did, she's brilliant. And even if unit had been kind of compromised, I genuinely believe she would have been leading an armed resistance against the Sontarans, so brilliant to them. We've also, of course, got the return of Jonathan Watson and Dan Starkey as Sontarans, and they do fairly well. Now, as I said, those are some of the things I liked. Time to get into some of the stuff that I'm not so keen on. I mean, I've had a night to kind of sleep on it and think it over, and there was some stuff that was nice, some stuff I honestly wasn't so keen on. But to go with one of the things I wasn't so keen on was that I was kind of expecting Swarm and Azure to actually be the main baddies for the big finale. I mean, that's kind of what I've been thinking for a while. I mean, they built these guys up. You kind of expect that in their one series that they would be the final battle, the final thing. Like, what do you do when the bad guys win? But they're almost completely sidelined. I mean, they only interact with one version of the Doctor, and even then, it's not really that much. It's like the Sontarans. I like the Sontarans. Sontarans are a good villain, but unlike their rivals like the Daleks or the Cybermen, I don't really necessarily see the Sontarans as a finale level bad guy. I mean, yeah, they worked in the Pandorica Opens because they were part of a larger team, and that made it work. But here, they just kind of feel like they take over, and it's just like we could have had more time with Swarm and Azure, make them more interesting, make them the big level threat that they've been built up to be. But no, it's just mostly just the Sontarans taking over. And to be honest, it's not really that fun. I mean, they do also tend to go on to the big stuff because when they do fun, they another thing to mention that is fun is that the Sontarans, as part of their plan to ultimately be the ultimate vanquishers, the ultimate conquerors in the universe, is that they use, as part of the Doctor's plan, they manage to smuggle to get Jericho and Claire onto a Sontaran ship, and because Claire's a seer, they can use that to determine the location of the final flux. And what the Sontarans plan to do is they plan to negotiate a peace treaty between the Daleks and the Cybermen, kind of a brief peace just so that they might be able to survive the flux, but they plan to do it so the Daleks and the Cybermen will be destroyed and the Sontarans will be the ultimate conquerors. Which I guess is kind of clever, but yeah, I feel they could have done a bit more with that. But yeah, and ultimately they managed to find a way to outsmart them and everything goes the way it is. Craig Parkinson's Grand Serpent is banished to an asteroid. Unfortunately Jericho doesn't survive, and everything eventually returns to normal. But then, because the Doctor and her friends were able to save the universe, Swarm and Azure seemingly take the Doctor back to Atropo, or whatever the planet was in Once Upon a Time, and they plan to sacrifice the Doctor to Time so that they can rule. Only because Flux didn't wipe out the entire universe, Time is not too happy and destroys them. Before taking the face of the Doctor and telling the Doctor that her time is coming to an end soon, and this time there won't be a regeneration. Like, yeah, that's the end of it. To which the Doctor then is left in possession of her fob watch, the one that contains all her memories from before the Hartnell era. Vinda and Bell end up staying with Carvanista to travel the universe, which I do like that. I do like that particular ending for them. Like, they're gonna go off to see the universe, they're gonna have a baby, and he's left in a bit of a bad mood, but he's like, alright, but let's just get this over with. Which, I do like that. Now, there's also Diane in this particular story. She ends up interacting a lot with Vinda when they both get trapped inside Passenger. Oh, that's one thing I forgot, that they end up using Passenger to stop the flux by using it to contain the antimatter, which I guess is okay, although not. But anyway, with Diane, played by Nadia Albina, we saw her at the beginning of the series interacting with John Bishop's Dan, and I like to see the two of them together. But then she appears to be a bit cold towards him in this particular finale, as she says to her, right, I booked a restaurant if you want to try that date tomorrow. And she's like, maybe not tomorrow. And it's just like, oh. I mean, I get that things would be a little bit cold between them, but I don't know. I just feel they could have done a bit more with it. But this time, though, when the Doctor, at the end of the story, when the Doctor kind of lands and she and Yasmin invite Dan aboard the TARDIS, which I do like to see that John Bishop and Mandip Gill are sticking around at least for the specials. Like, Jodie Whittaker still has 3 episodes left of her tenure, one of which will be on New Year's Day this next year, and the other 2 will be early and late 2022. So I do like that they're at least sticking around. There was a little bit of a worry, it's like, well, maybe the 2 of them will choose to step down, or... I mean, I'd like to see them into the new Russell T Davies era, but I don't know, we'll see about that. But any more appearances of Mandip Gill and John Bishop, I'll take. To which the Doctor tries to have a bit of a meaningful conversation with Yaz about what was going on, although Dan quickly interrupts it, which is nice to see. But then there's the big point. The Doctor has managed to retrieve her fob watch, which contains all of her pre-Hartnell memories, and it's a question of whether she's truly going to be able to remember it, whether she's going to see all those memories, and then at the last minute she chooses not to. Like, she places it inside the TARDIS console, drops it in, and says, "Don't show me that. Don't let me see it, unless I really ask to." So it's a little bit of a tease that the constant time we'd be wondering, will she find out what is going to be happening, or will they ultimately say, no, we're not going to show that from Hartnell through to Whittaker, that's what you get. Also, there was one thing that Time said to the Doctor just before she left Atropos that I'll admit I can kind of understand what they're doing or what they might be planning. As she says to the Doctor, time is coming to an end, no regeneration soon, soon you will meet your master. Which I think most of us can see where that's going, what that's hinting at, but we'll have to wait and see. So, The Vanquishers, I'll admit, I probably think it's one of the weaker episodes of Flux overall. I think possibly my ranking for this particular series would go War of the Sontarans up at the top, Village of the Angels just below that. Below that I would probably say the Halloween Apocalypse, and... No, hang on. War of the Sontarans, Village of the Angels, oh god. I'm having trouble remembering all the episodes of this series at once. Maybe I'll do another video just saying what my ultimate thing with this is. I think The Vanquishers would come pretty low, either just above Once Upon a Time or just below it. I honestly can't tell you. But that was Doctor Who Flux, and I hope they manage to do something good to wrap up Jodie Whittaker's era. I mean, the episode we've got next, coming after The Vanquishers on New Year's Day 2022, is due to be called Eve of the Daleks, and it's, from the looks of it, appears to be Doctor Who, Daleks, New Year's Day, and from the look of it, Groundhog Day. Which, I don't know, might be interesting. It looks fun. Plus it's due to star Aileen B. So, yeah, I mean, she's good. I mean, overall, I think The Vanquishers didn't quite live up to what I expected it to be. Maybe it'll grow more on me with time, but for the time being, I think this one was a little bit of a dud. But there you go. There's my quick thoughts on Chapter 6, the final chapter of Doctor Who Flux, The Vanquishers. Anyway, until New Year's Day, see ya.